His salary increases every year, at least on paper, but his life still feels tight, like nothing really opened up. The numbers changed, but the pressure stayed exactly the same. Bills are paid on time, nothing is technically wrong. His job is stable, his routine looks normal from the outside, but there is a quiet sense of lack that never fully goes away. He assumes the problem is the number, that a higher income will fix it. It feels logical, almost obvious, so it goes unquestioned, but most people never stop to test that assumption. The strange part is that people with more money often feel the same. The scale changes, but the pattern repeats itself. The problems evolve, but the feeling quietly stays. This channel does not sell fast wealth or easy answers. We break down how systems stretch your sense of enough over time. And today we look at how money changes you more than your life. At the beginning of your career, everything feels simple. The goal is clear: earn money and survive. There is no philosophy yet, only immediate needs and short-time horizon thinking. You track your spending carefully, almost obsessively. Every decision carries weight because your margin is thin. Even small volatility in expenses feels significant. You tell yourself this phase is temporary. When income grows, life will feel easier and more stable. It sounds rational, aligned with a longer-term expectation of progress. And then your income actually increases. Something does change, but not in the way you expected. The improvement is real, but the impact feels smaller over time. Your standards quietly adjust upward. Things that once felt expensive now feel normal. Spending expands slowly, almost invisible, like a soft form of compounding. This is not random or accidental. It is a common psychological pattern tied to adaptation and environment. Over a long time horizon, it shapes financial behavior more than income itself. You are not becoming reckless or irrational. You are simply adjusting to a new baseline without noticing it. The shift happens quietly, without a clear signal or warning. At this point, money begins to shape your habits. It does not necessarily create freedom yet. This is the first shift, where behavior changes before outcomes do. Your salary increases again. It feels like you finally have more room to breathe. But that feeling is often temporary within your time horizon. You start buying convenience. Not because you need it, but because you can. And the shift feels completely reasonable. Your time feels more valuable now. You spend money to reduce effort and friction. From a risk perspective, it seems like a smart trade. But something else quietly changes. Your tolerance for spending begins to rise. And it does not feel like volatility at all. You stop tracking the small details because you no longer have to, and that feels like progress on the surface. But this is where the shift begins. You slowly lose sensitivity to money, and it happens through quiet compounding behavior. The issue is not one large expense. It is repeated small decisions over time. These patterns create invisible financial drawdown. At this level, money improves comfort, but it also loosens your control. And that trade-off is rarely questioned in the long term. Life starts to feel stable now. There are fewer surprises and fewer disruptions. Everything moves within a predictable range of risk and time horizon. But this is where something subtle appears. Not extreme stress, just a quiet dissatisfaction. It feels like a slow emotional drawdown you cannot explain. You start comparing without noticing. Not with your past, but with others around you. Your perception of progress shifts with social volatility. Your environment begins to upgrade. New standards quietly form around you, and you adjust without questioning the long-term cost. What once felt enough now feels average. Your baseline has shifted upward. Expectations compound faster than income growth. This is not about gratitude. It is about human adaptation over time. Your brain recalibrates without asking permission. And the modern system accelerates this loop. Ads, social media, and lifestyle signals amplify it. Everything nudges you toward more, increasing perceived volatility. At this point, money no longer solves the problem. It simply raises the baseline you must maintain. And that new baseline is always more expensive in the long term. You see your numbers going up over time. It feels like progress because growth is visible, but the direction of that growth is still unclear. Higher income does not always improve your life. Sometimes it simply increases your baseline expenses. What looks like progress can actually be cost expansion. You start working harder and investing more time, but your lifestyle does not meaningfully change. The gap between effort and outcome begins to widen. The system is built to keep you engaged over time. It rewards continuation more than reflection. Stopping to question it feels almost unnatural. Every income increase brings new expectations. These expectations quietly reshape your spending behavior. And most of the time, you do not question them. You are still playing the same financial game. Only now the stakes are higher and more expensive. The rules, however, have not changed at all. This is not pessimism or negativity. It is simply a pattern you can observe over time. And once seen, it becomes hard to ignore. At this stage, money stops feeling like a solution. It starts behaving more like fuel for motion. You keep moving, but not necessarily closer to freedom. Some people earn a high income. On paper, they should be financially secure, but reality doesn't always follow the math. Expenses can grow faster than income, especially when there is no clear limit, and that shift is often invisible at first. This happens more often than expected, not because people are careless, but because the system quietly encourages it. As income grows, the environment changes. Expectations quietly rise with it, and the cycle repeats without resistance. You start buying symbols, not because you need them, but because they represent something else. The issue is not the object itself. It is the meaning attached to it. And that meaning often goes unquestioned. A high income creates a sense of safety, but the structure underneath can still be fragile. And that contrast is easy to ignore. At this stage, money changes how you see yourself, not just where you stand financially, and that shift runs deeper than numbers. As the numbers get bigger, the feeling does not always follow. Income grows, but satisfaction stays flat. That gap is where confusion begins. You start questioning your position. Is this enough or just another step? The answer never feels stable. The answer is rarely objective. Your benchmark keeps shifting over time, and there is no final reference point. Wealth is relative, not absolute. It depends on what you compare against, and the system quietly uses that. You look upward, not downward. That direction changes how you feel. Even when your reality improves, this is not an individual flaw. It is shaped by the environment around you. Where enough always feels just out of reach, the higher you climb, the harder it is to feel satisfied. Expectations grow with your position, unless you notice the pattern. At this level, money does not give certainty. It gives a new perspective, and that perspective is not always comfortable. So what actually changed over time? It was not your life in a dramatic way. It was the lens you used to evaluate it. Money quietly resets your internal standards. It adjusts what you tolerate and what you expect. Over time, normal starts to feel different. The problems never really disappear. They just evolve into something less obvious, and often harder to notice. What used to be about lack becomes about comparison. The pressure shifts direction quietly, and it feels strangely normal. Most people never notice this shift happening, because it looks like progress from the outside. But internally, it is just a different version of the same cycle. At some point, more money stops increasing calm. It only removes specific types of stress. The rest stays with you. What remains becomes a mental game. It is about awareness, not just numbers, and no one really teaches you how to play it. And this is where the real shift happens, not in income or external growth, but in how aware you become of the system. Money matters in almost every part of life. No one seriously denies its role in shaping comfort and choices. But people often misunderstand what it is actually supposed to do. Money can fix many surface-level problems over time. It reduces certain risks and buys flexibility within your time horizon. But it does not eliminate uncertainty or internal dissatisfaction. If you never define what enough means, the numbers will keep expanding. Compounding works both for wealth and for expectations, and the finish line keeps moving further away. The answer might not be more complexity or higher targets. It could be something simpler and closer than you think, especially if you stop measuring your life against everyone else. Understanding the system changes how you see your decisions. It shifts your focus from chasing to evaluating risk and trade-offs. If you want to go deeper, you can continue here.